TU's Weather on the Hour is brought to you by Teplic Laser Surgery Centers. Your vision for the future.
On World News Tonight this Friday, getting closer to the black boxes from Egypt Air Flight 990. The government case against Microsoft. The judge makes a first and influential ruling. George W. Bush and the political pop quiz. Does it make any difference how he did? And from innocence to angst, the teenager and the 20th century.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a major victory for the government in its landmark legal battle with Microsoft. In Washington, the presiding judge in the government's lawsuit case against Microsoft has issued a number of key findings today. These are the facts the judge believes were proven during the trial. Very significant day, very big day for the government. ABC's Bob Woodruff joins us from Washington. He's been covering the case. Take us through it if you would.
Well, Peter, a very, very thick document here, and it goes, like you said, completely in favor of the government. Almost all the key findings of fact by the judge here went against Microsoft, beginning with the most important question: was there a monopoly by Microsoft? The answer to that was yes. The judge found that Microsoft has a very dominant position in the Intel-based PC market, and that consumers have very little alternative to Windows. Did Microsoft try to illegally carve up the internet browser market? Yes. Again, they said that Microsoft invited Netscape to collude and not compete. Did Microsoft engage in predatory pricing? Again, yes. Was there any other anti-competitive acts that Microsoft engaged in? Again, yes on that too. The judge found significantly that Microsoft had no reason to bundle its Internet Explorer together with the Windows program. They said that helped consumers. The judge in this case said no. So, Peter, tonight, these are findings of fact. These are not conclusions of law. Now, both parties will come back and argue the law on this, and the judge will probably make his final decision in several months.
Thanks very much, Bob Woodruff in Washington. Just a few moments ago, Microsoft founder and chief executive Bill Gates reacted to the ruling.
We hope we can find a way to resolve this and put it behind us. We think that there's certainly got to be a way to resolve it that's fair to Microsoft, fair to the government, and most of all, fair to consumers.
Bob Woodruff told you it was a fairly long and deliberate ruling. Here is pretty much core from Judge Thomas Penfield Jackson. Microsoft has demonstrated that it will use its prodigious market power and immense profits to harm any firm that insists on pursuing initiatives that could intensify competition against one of Microsoft's core products. Now, what does this mean in terms of the next step? We're joined from Washington tonight by George Washington University Law Professor William Kovacic. Simple question, Professor, what now?
What now is probably a decision sometime in January or February in which the judge finds decisively for the government on most of its key legal points, finding that Microsoft is a monopolist and that it's abused its monopoly power. In short, the government is likely to achieve a decisive legal victory come January or February.
And in a phrase, if it's possible, will this make much difference to the consumer?
It only makes a difference to the consumers if the government's right in its hypothesis. Judge Jackson clearly thought that the government is precisely right.
Thanks very much for your trouble, Professor Kovacic, who's the law expert from George Washington University. Now, since the government and 19 states sued Microsoft 2 years ago, the company's won the war for market share in Internet browsers. 64% of users now have Microsoft's Internet Explorer browser as their primary way of getting around the Internet. 36% use Netscape's browser, but Microsoft's competitors have made gains on a number of other fronts. So here is ABC's Betsy Stark.
Analysts who have followed the trial say the glare of the spotlight has already loosened Microsoft's grip on the markets for software and internet access and made its competitors bolder.
They're saying, oh, there are other vendors for operating systems, and our users might actually be interested in things that aren't Windows.
While Windows still dominates the market for operating systems, there are now credible challengers. The free Linux operating system is being offered by major computer makers such as IBM and Dell as an alternative to Windows. Steve Jobs has breathed new life into Apple. The hot-selling iMac runs on its own operating system. Another big change, the success of the Palm Pilot and other Internet appliances that allow consumers to surf the web and get email without using Microsoft software or its internet browser. Nokia and Sprint are selling wireless phones that access the internet using their own software.
People don't care about the operating system anymore. It's really about, can I get on the internet?
Finally, some big competitors have become bigger. America Online and Netscape have merged. Microsoft actually argued in court that the deal was proof that Microsoft has no lock on the fast-growing market for electronic commerce. Some say the lawsuit has been its own remedy, that a Microsoft under legal scrutiny has been distracted enough and restrained enough to let real competition flourish again. Betsy Stark, ABC News, New York.
Subject of enormous financial consequences. One other item on the money tonight, the unemployment rate, 4.1%, just about what it was last month, and still the lowest it has been in 30 years. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up more than 64 points today to close at 10,704. On the NASDAQ today, stocks were up 46 points. When we come back, Egypt Air Flight 990, a race to beat the weather and to get its black boxes out of the ocean. And breaking in new doctors without putting patients at risk. Technology on the cutting edge.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Merrill Lynch.
So what'll happen to all this now that you're going virtual?
We're not going virtual.
I read you're getting into internet trading, online cash management.
Well, we are, yes.
The end of an era.
Not at all. Online trading and the rest of it are simply new tools we're making available.
You don't have to sugarcoat it for me, but I must tell you, I'm going to miss our little chats.
Nelson, I'm not going away. The office isn't going away.
The coffee? The ticker?
Not going away.
What about the little bull?
Not going away.
Good.
Labor of love took on a whole new meaning when Kyle was born. 12 hours of labor.
One of life's most joyful moments can also be one of its most painful. But take comfort, as so many women have, in Tylenol, the pain reliever doctors and hospitals choose most.
Come meet your little brother.
Hello. Tylenol, take comfort in our strength.
Choosing a cranberry juice is confusing.
Premium cocktail, 27% juice, corn syrup. Avoid the confusion. Trust Northland to always be 100% juice.
Northland is pure genius.
Northland, always 100% juice.
Let's be honest. There's really no such thing as a gracious winner. You might say things like nice game or shake your opponent's hand. But no matter how humble you are on the outside, deep down on the inside, you're saying, I'm better than you are. The Mitsubishi Galant, ranked the #1 family sedan under 20 grand by Car and Driver. Better than Accord or Camry. Boy, we just love saying that.
My feet are killing me.
You need new Podiasin Soak and Massage Gel. Only Podiasin dissolves in water for instant pain relief, then rubs into open pores for deep, lasting relief.
The pain is gone.
New Podiasin Soak and Massage Gel.
In Rhode Island tonight, investigators believe they are closer to finding the black boxes from the Egypt Air flight, which crashed last Sunday morning. It has been a long week for everyone, the families who are naturally impatient to know something, and the investigators who, until today, have been somewhat hampered by the weather. We go straight away to ABC's Lisa Stark.
The USS Grapple arrived at the crash site early this morning, and soon after, the ship's deep drone was in the water and followed the pinging sound down to the bottom of the ocean.
We can hear both of the pingers, but we can see neither of them.
The boxes are 15 to 20 feet apart, believed to be buried under small bits of wreckage and silt. It's not known how long it will take to dig them out and bring them up. The recorders from the Egypt airplane may hold important clues. Investigators hope the recorders continued working during at least the jet's initial plunge. They know the plane had some electrical power during that time because it continued to send out altitude information. But that's no guarantee power to the black boxes was still working. On shore, the families waited for word of any progress. Some joined a Muslim prayer service. Tomorrow may be an especially difficult day. they will have the opportunity to view the wreckage that has been brought back from the sea. And searchers have just now called off attempts to recover those black boxes tonight. The seas are too high. They hope to resume tomorrow. Peter?
Thanks very much, Lisa. Lisa Stark, who's been in Rhode Island for us all this week. In political circles throughout the country today, and among quite a number of normal people, too, the Republican candidate for President George W. Bush was getting something of a roasting. Yesterday, Mr. Bush found himself in one of those interviews with a reporter that turned out to be more than he counted on. He was asked to name the leaders of 4 places which have been pretty consistently in the news: Taiwan, Chechnya, Pakistan, and India. And he got 1 of 4. Here's ABC's Aaron Brown.
About what I want to do.
Today, the Republican frontrunner tried to dismiss the whole flap.
I fully concede. People can trip me up with questions.
He told ABC Sam Donaldson detailed knowledge is not what voters care about.
People are making their choice based upon judgment, based upon vision, based upon philosophy. That's how people are deciding the presidency.
That's called damage control, and there was damage to be controlled. A local TV interview had become national news overnight. Headlines in the papers: Bush fails foreign policy quiz.
Can you name the president of Chechnya?
No, can you?
He also showed a flash of temper and defensiveness.
Can you name the general who's in charge?
Is this a 50 questions?
No, it's 4 questions of 4 leaders and 4 hotspots.
And there were questions of policy, too, as Bush seemed to suggest he supports the military coup in Pakistan.
He appears he's going to bring stability to the country, and I think that's good news for the subcontinent.
It was that answer that Vice President Gore jumped on. In a statement, Gore said, "I find it troubling that a candidate for president in our country, the world's oldest democracy, would characterize this military takeover as good news." Pat Buchanan, as you would expect, was more direct.
There's a gnawing concern that Mr. Bush does not know the world.
And that's why this might prove so dangerous for Governor Bush, because it feeds a persistent criticism that in this important area of foreign policy, he is not by experience or temperament up to the job.
What's made news here is not this little game of Jeopardy, but the fact that Governor Bush couldn't answer the questions and seemed a little bit off balance as he attempted to provide the names of these foreign leaders.
I think it was a cheap shot at Governor Bush, but sometimes cheap shots do damage.
And fair or not, for a candidate like Bush, in many ways still unknown, these little moments can develop a life of their own. Aaron Brown, ABC News, New York.
Well, the Pope has arrived in one of these difficult places in the world. He's been to India before to visit Indian Catholics, but his welcome was a good deal more subdued this time than it was 13 years ago. Our reporter Bill Blakemore says he has not seen such extensive security before anywhere. There's been a marked increase in anti-Christian feeling and behavior among some Indians in recent years. Bill Blakemore reports tonight from the Indian capital, New Delhi.
Never before has Pope John Paul been burned in effigy. This week's demonstrations follow 18 months of violence against Christians in many parts of India. Hindu extremists have burned churches and Christian schools. 2 priests have been murdered, and an Australian missionary and his 2 sons burned to death in his Jeep. Beyond the violence, a small but vocal minority in this largely Hindu country feels threatened by Christianity, even though less than 3% of the population are Christians.
They have targeted that there should be a church in every postal code and a gospel in every hand.
Evangelists have been winning converts here,
God sent his good news to this land of India.
particularly among India's poorest. The Hindu extremists claim such conversions are often forced or bought. Some have even pressured Christians into reconversion ceremonies, conversion back to Hinduism. But the great majority of Indians do not support the anti-Christian mob.
India will revert to its traditional past of tolerance towards other religions.
Maybe, but 18 months of violent intolerance has everything to do with why security around the Pope on this trip is especially tight, and why he's giving only one mass in public before he leaves. Bill Blakemore, ABC News, traveling with the Pope in New Delhi.
Just one other item from overseas. In Australia this weekend, voters are deciding whether the country should retain its ties to the British Crown or become a republic. Many Australians feel very strongly that Queen Elizabeth is no longer an appropriate head of state for Australia, the Asian nation. Many analysts believe, however, that the Queen will be retained because the pro-monarchists have banded together with a group wanting more change than the referendum actually provides for. When we come back this evening, technology on the cutting edge.
A significant discovery in eye health may be lutein, a nutrient found in these healthy foods, perhaps as vital to your eyes as the beta-carotene in carrots. And now, Centrum and Centrum Silver are the only leading multivitamins that have lutein. So whatever your age, you can help maintain your precious sight. Look into Centrum and Centrum Silver, now more complete with lutein. Also look for Centrum Herbals, the only herbals backed by Centrum Science.
Every kid knows, if you want to make the big leagues, you better eat your Wheaties. And every dad should know, whole grain Wheaties may help prevent cancer. Numerous studies confirm a low-fat diet rich in whole grain foods like Wheaties may reduce the risk of certain cancers. So when he does make the big leagues, you'll be in the front row. 100% whole grain Wheaties and new Wheaties Raisin Bran, champions in the fight against cancer.
Cold, dry air makes it worse. So can days like these. That's scalp stress itch. And Scalpicin stops it. Clean, unscented, medicated. To stop scalp stress itch. Fast. Scalpicin stops scalp stress itch.
It's time. Time for your heartburn to kick in because your heartburn relief gave out. It happens 2 or more days a week, even though you've treated it and changed your diet. That frequent, persistent heartburn may be due to acid reflux disease, potentially serious.
It's Prilosec time. Time to see your doctor about prescription Prilosec. Your results may vary, but for many people, Prilosec provides 24 hours of complete heartburn relief with 1 daily dose. Ask your doctor for more information about Prilosec and if it's right for you. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. 24 hours of complete heartburn relief is possible. It's Prilosec time.
Technology on the cutting edge this Friday, hands-on experience, there is no substitute for it. But what to do when it comes to emergency medicine, and you do not wish to entrust a patient's life to a novice? Here's ABC's Deborah Wong.
It's a medical emergency. A woman in labor begins to hemorrhage badly. She's sedated, intubated, and given drugs to stabilize her condition.
A lot of bleeding.
And a blood transfusion. But in this emergency delivery room, the patient is not a person, but a high-tech medical simulator with moving parts, eyes that blink, and pupils that dilate and constrict. It even speaks.
Oh, I can feel a contraction.
Simulators have long been used to train pilots and astronauts, but it's only recently that engineers have been able to design a simulator to mimic the complicated functions of the human body. The simulator's chest rises and falls with every breath. Doctors can feel its heartbeat and monitor its blood pressure. When they administer drugs or anesthesia, the simulator reacts just like a real patient. Watching through a one-way mirror, doctors control the simulator and trigger unexpected complications. The baby is delivered without a heartbeat, and a neonatal team takes over.
Let's start CPR.
We like to take them right to the edge and work them at the edge and make it so that it's really challenging.
1, 2, 3.
Because new doctors are seldom allowed to take charge in this kind of emergency during their training, the simulator offers practice without risk.
We do not want them to be experiencing these kinds of events firsthand in the real delivery room with the real baby and a real mother and a real father.
We're going to start.
Videotape of the operation lets doctors see what they did right and what they did wrong.
There's always stuff that comes up that we're like, oh, we should have done that sooner. Our heart rate's coming up, we're okay.
In this case, the team performs admirably, and both mother and baby survive.
Better color.
Simulator technology is becoming better and more affordable, so in the future, many more doctors are likely to learn important skills working on smart dummies.
Disconnect the patient from the ventilator.
Deborah Wong, ABC News, Palo Alto, California.
On the cutting edge. The Atlanta Zoo is investing $10 million in 2 Chinese pandas, $1 million in rent for 10 years. The zoo will study why pandas have been reluctant to mate in captivity. They arrived in town today from China, and if they do mate, the offspring will belong to China. The pandas have a brand new $7 million environment. The cost of getting into the Atlanta Zoo is about to go up 20%. When we come back, the teenage revolution, the century.
Well, it's
on
one
Friday.
for the money, two for the show, three to get ready. Now go, cat, go, but don't you.
Hi, my car's out front.
We'll get started right away.
Introducing 5 Star, a new approach to selling and servicing cars and trucks.
You're all set.
Great job, guys. Let's run that drill again.
5 Star, certified training so rigorous, only the best make the cut. It's better, we'll prove it, only where you see these signs.
Be afraid, potato chips. Be very afraid.
Introducing Quaker Crispy Minis. Light and crispy with a flavor so intense, you won't believe they're oven-baked. So let the mouth-watering begin. New Quaker Crispy Minis Rice Snacks. The rice snack that eats like a chip. Try new barbecue and sour cream and onion flavors.
One question aroused fierce passions for centuries. What's for dinner? Until the day a great mediator appeared. The new Maytag Gemini. An amazing 2-in-1 range that allowed them to cook 2 different foods at 2 different temperatures for one complete meal.
Freedom.
You know, people still ask me about the crash. I'm tired of talking about the crash. I mean, first of all, it wasn't even really a crash. 1929. That was a crash.
Yeah, that was bad.
Maybe it was more like a market correction, typically defined by like 10, 20% drop in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which if you consider the economic factors that are affecting the current risk premium.
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm,
I guess it's not that surprising.
we created a smarter kind of investor. What do you know about expense
An
ratios?
expense ratio is a percentage.
To find the perfect gift for the pet lover in your life, at Gifts.com, we test all kinds of gift ideas.
What do you think of that? Does this appeal to you?
At Gifts, how do you feel about that bowl?
The Dalmatian loved it.
He likes the orange spongy.
Good gift.
Ow! The Doberman has issues.
So when you're looking for just the right gift, come to Gifts.com. Tell us about the people at pets you're shopping for, and we'll tell you about some great gifts. Gifts.com, just the perfect gifts.
$69.
What are you looking at, cable? Shh, it's just getting good.
3 minutes a week.
Ah, DirecTV. Hey, everybody. This is Jim. Look, DirecTV's got all your favorite cable channels. Plus, now you get 2 free months of 32 premium movie channels, including 7 HBO, 4 Stars, and 5 Showtime channels with no long-term commitment. DirecTV. What are you looking at?
Tonight, her husband and 6 children were killed by a raging inferno in their own home. Some furniture burned so hot, so fast, they didn't stand a chance. We test to see how safe some furniture is. What's in your home? 2020 tonight.
Coming up next, Beaverton High School football players plan a game night tribute to their fallen teammate. We'll have a preview. And the war over historic wood. Experts argue about the health of historic trees in Washington State. I'm Steve Dunn. Local news is next.
Finally this evening, teenagers. We parents of teenagers often say it in a state of wonder or bewilderment, sometimes in disgust, and on occasion as if we've forgotten that we were once teenagers too. One thing we all know is that teenagers have become in this society a unique, powerful, always interesting, sometimes exasperating breed or tribe unto themselves. And as we know them, they are a phenomenon of this century. And so for the century on Friday tonight, the young and the mighty. Tonight, the adolescent. Not many people at the turn of the century would have thought of adolescence the way we think of it today, as a separate stage of life.
The vast majority of young people were working. They didn't have an adolescence. They were growing up on farms, and they were going to be farmers, too.
As America became a more urban society, jobs were created in the industrial sector, and young people took them. But as late as the 1920s, only about a quarter of Americans of high school age actually went to high school. The big change came during the Great Depression in the 1930s.
Tremendous numbers of jobs disappeared, and there was a national policy to restrict the jobs that were left to people who were breadwinners. All of the young people were thrown out of work, and high school was the one place where they could be kept off the streets.
And so this distinct, somewhat pampered, separate phase of life became widespread between child and adult. Popular culture was soon a factor.
I ain't ever gonna get too old for hugging and kissing. Besides, you didn't act no 90 years old last night on the porch yourself.
Why, Andrew Hardy.
I trace the beginning of the teenager to Mickey Rooney, bizarre as that seems.
This was the innocent vision of adolescence. The teenager is confused youngster, eager to be older than his years, and yet ultimately still a child.
But look here, Dad, I'm not a child anymore. And, well, a fellow's just gotta have a car.
The image of the teenager as a rebel emerges after the Second World War, thanks in part to a growing body of thought among psychologists who said the teenagers experience an identity crisis.
During these years in our teens, we are programmed to have a crisis and define an identity that will be able to last for the rest of our lives.
You're tearing me apart!
What?
James Dean, the rebel without a cause, became the symbol of the American teenager. The idea of the rebel teenager prompted much hand-wringing in the 1950s, and we got the term juvenile delinquent. The Senate held hearings.
I believe that there are a multitude of people who do not have any concept of the size and seriousness of this problem.
Hollywood was fascinated with the rebel gang. Many people saw violent comic books in the way that some people regard violent video games today. It was in the exuberantly prosperous 1950s that business began to see teenagers as an untapped market. They were encouraged to have their own identity and spend money on it. The teenager as different from the generation before. And then came rock and roll, supporting the teenagers' notion that they were a world unto themselves.
Honey, lay off them shoes and don't you step on my blue suede shoes.
Say you want a revolution, well, you know.
In the 1960s, when the baby boom generation was in its teens, idealism and rebelliousness dominated a turbulent culture. It is still felt today.
You look at the way that they wrote about youth culture then, and then you look at the way they wrote about Generation X in the early 90s, and they were saying almost precisely the same thing.
Reject conformity. Be yourself. Defy your elders. Be a teenager. A creation of the 20th century. The journey from innocence to angst on our website, thecentury.com as well. That's our report on World News Tonight. On Night 9 this evening, they're going to take up the Microsoft ruling. I'm Peter Jennings. We hope you have a good weekend. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC.